On out, and they're going to share a little bit about their ministry, the things that they're doing around the world, and how the Lord has led them from that great state of Georgia. I don't know why you would leave such a wonderful place to come out to California, but they're now living here in Orange County, so we'd love to hear about more what God's doing in your life.
Well, great.
Could be.
It is good to be back. It was 18 years ago that we were actually sent out from this church to go to Atlanta, Georgia, and I was the president of OMUSA and oversaw the work in the U.S. of what we do in OM, which works in about 110 countries around the world. But just recently, we moved back because both of our jobs have changed, and we're a little more flexible in where we live. But the jobs have changed, and so Kathy's going to tell you what her kind of current role is, and then I'll tell you what mine is.
One of our motivations for moving back when we could is that our daughter got married last May and lives in Lakewood, and so we're thinking there could be grandchildren in the future. So kind of wanted, if we could live anywhere we wanted, we decided that would be a good location to be when the time comes. My job changed from I was placing customized individuals around the world and doing their whole application process, but my job changed to doing more facilitating and connecting universities. I'm on the university partnership team, which means I help our university reps make connections with the universities and build partnerships with them and our teams around the world, and also place interns who are college students. And so I'm still doing the connecting and the networking and the placing, but I'm not doing the application process anymore. So that gives me freedom. I can do that connecting. The regional reps for the university are all over the country, so I don't have to be in the home office either. So that freed me up to do that. But then I also get to travel with Rick sometimes. We get to visit some of the fields, go to international meetings. And one of the things I love about that is sometimes I get to connect the dots between what I do and what's going on in the field. And just an example that actually connects you into the story too is that we were in Costa Rica in October for International Executive Committee meetings, and while we were there we got to see the ministry they were doing there, and we saw this amazing ministry that Julie, who is the field leader's wife, started with women from the slums who didn't know about Jesus and had needs, and she tried to start Bible studies with them, but they couldn't quite get interested in the Bible and this God who supposedly loved and cared for them when they couldn't feed their children, and they couldn't, they were so needy. One woman talked about how the rats bit her children at night, and the rain came in, and they all got wet whenever it rained, and it's just a very bad situation. And so Julie thought, what can we do to help these women, to help them understand that God does care about them? And so she started thinking, well, if we could teach them skills that they could help meet their own needs and help sell things. So she taught some of them to sew, and it was interesting as they learned to sew, as they started to see a difference in their life, they started to realize God does love us. He provided this opportunity for us. He's providing this income for us. And so that opened up their hearts. They started to be more interested in the Bible studies, and many of them have come to know Christ, and they're a small group together and stuff. Well, then she realized that they were having a hard time finding places to sell their items. And so she wanted to start something that would be a real business, something that really would provide health care for these women, for their children. Some had never taken their kids to the doctor, and be able to get them out of their circumstances and stuff. And so Brian Poole, who's also a missionary from this church, has been with that team for the last year, helping set up business plans, helping people figure out how to do business. And he helped Julie do a business plan for a mosaic company, and she taught these women how to make beautiful mosaics with glass and wood products. There's trays and decorative items and all this stuff. She went to the big gift shops that are in the airports and all over the tourist areas, and they liked it. They liked the concept that they were helping the women. They said, we want to come see the women that you're helping, and probably double check to make sure her story was right. And they bought her. They have been buying her products. She cannot keep. I mean, we tried to buy stuff while we were there, and they were just filling orders. They didn't have anything extra to sell. So it has been a highly successful. And all these women have come to know the Lord. They work together. They pray together. They care about each other. When we were there in their shop visiting with them, they all wanted to tell their story. It was like she was going to have one share. It's like, no, they all had to tell their story, and they wept with gratitude because what God had done for them, showing them love through this business. And so it was so fun to connect the dots, because I was the one that helped get Brian placed to use his skills in OM that eventually led him to be in Costa Rica. So it's always great when you have an office job to see the dots all connected and see God is using your efforts.
Well, we both have kind of administrative roles, and people have to be administrators, I guess. I mean, it's either that or die. So, we like to connect the dots to what is being administrated. And when we can go see that people on the ground are doing the work, they're finding these unique ways of presenting the gospel, and people are coming to know Jesus. So that's what it's about. So when you know that's happening, it makes it a little easier to do the office work or whatever. And so that's what we do. Now, when I left here 18 years ago, I went to be the president of OM USA. And after 14 years, I actually just got tired of doing it. And so I said I wanted to do something else. And so in OM, we've broken the world up into about 8 geographical areas, and we call each area, it has a leader, and oddly enough, we call them the area leaders. And so I'm an area leader, and we're like the 8 elders of OM internationally. We kind of try to maintain the standards and the spirituality and the direction and just the biblical standards. And so that's my job. So I switched from being the president of OM USA to the North American area leader. But it's just so easy to lead North America because we basically just mobilize people, money, and prayer and send them around the world. And we do have about, I think, 800 Americans around the world. And in all, we have about 3,100 people in OM. But my job is actually pretty easy because Canada, the Caribbean, and the U.S. are pretty self-sustaining. So the rest of my time is because I was a field leader for so long that I actually made a lot of mistakes. And now all these younger guys are coming along, and they're making the same stupid mistakes I made. And so when it happens, they go, oh, Hicks already made that mistake. Let's have him go over and fix that for these guys. And so I'm kind of the fixer now. If there's a problem in the world where somebody screwed up, I've already done it a couple of times and actually sometimes even found a way out. And so I just spend most of my time actually flying around the world, just doing some problem solving and stuff that most people in this room, it's just common sense stuff. You know, they just need somebody to come in and referee and things like that. And so that's what we do, and we're finding it very gratifying. But because of that, we don't need to live in Georgia anymore. And so the fact that we could move back to Southern California, we left the week right before the ice storms hit Atlanta, and it totally freaked out. It was like 85 in Orange County. It's like, yes, there is a God in heaven. So that's what we're doing. We're going to be around more. We'll be able to kind of come and participate in the church a little bit more. So you might see a little bit more of us in the future, and that's what we're doing. And I think our 4 minutes are up. So glad to be with you guys. We actually have to hop on a plane in about an hour and a half or 2 hours. So we're going to kind of sneak out the back door and go fly somewhere. So thank you.